Power does not usually fall because it is weak. Power falls because it is afraid. Afraid of sharing. Afraid of reform. Afraid of losing control. Across history, rulers were offered exits, compromises, reforms, softer landings. Again and again, they refused. They chose a darker logic. If I cannot rule everything, then let nothing survive without me. This episode is not about villains alone. It is about a pattern, a psychological trap where power preservation becomes self-destruction. These are 10 moments when fear of losing power didn't save empires. It burned them down. If you value history that exposes uncomfortable truths, not glorified myths, subscribe now. Because what follows keeps repeating. Warning 10. Assyrian scorched earth rule. Terror is policy. The Assyrian Empire ruled through fear before fear had a name. When provinces showed signs of rebellion, Assyrian kings didn't negotiate. They erased. Cities were flattened. Crops burned. Populations deported. Not to win loyalty but to prevent the idea of resistance from surviving. For a time, it worked. But terror has a shelf life. Eventually, Assyria ruled land that no longer produced food, loyalty, or soldiers. Its enemies didn't need superior armies, just patience. Lesson: fear can freeze rebellion temporarily, but it destroys the system that sustains power. Present parallel: modern regimes that respond to dissent with mass punishment repeat this logic, stability through devastation. Future warning: how long can a state survive when it rules silence instead of people? Warning 09. Byzantine palace coups killing competence to secure thrones. In Byzantium, the greatest threat to an emperor was not foreign invasion. It was the palace itself. Generals were blinded, advisors executed, brothers poisoned, not because they failed but because they were too capable. Power became paranoid. Over time, emperors surrounded themselves with flatterers, not strategists. When real crises arrived, no one knew how to respond. Constantinople didn't fall suddenly. It was hollowed out from inside. Lesson: eliminating rivals may protect a throne but it destroys governance. Present parallel: organizations that fire innovators to protect leadership repeat the same decay. Future warning: when loyalty replaces competence, collapse becomes inevitable. Warning 08. Mughal nobles blocking succession reform. Chaos as insurance. Late Mughal India faced a solvable problem: violent successions. Reform was proposed: clear succession laws. Nobles blocked it. Why? Because chaos kept them powerful. Every succession crisis made nobles king-makers. The empire weakened but their influence survived a little longer. Until it didn't. Civil wars drained armies. Provinces broke away. Foreign powers walked in. Lesson: elites who profit from instability eventually lose everything. Present parallel: political actors who sabotage reform to preserve leverage repeat this mistake. Future warning: what happens when power brokers outlive the system they manipulate? Warning 07. Qing court versus constitutional reform, choosing collapse over sharing. By the 19th century, the Qing dynasty knew reform was necessary. Constitutional monarchy was proposed. Power sharing was possible. The court refused. Reform meant losing absolute control, so they delayed, diluted, and sabotaged it. Revolution filled the vacuum. The dynasty fell. The chaos that followed was far worse than reform ever would have been. Lesson: refusing gradual loss often invites total loss. Present parallel: states delaying political reform until pressure explodes. Future warning: is controlled change scarier than uncontrollable collapse? Warning 06. Spanish monarchy reform deferred until it was too late. Spain sensed decline early. Economic reform was discussed. Political modernization proposed. Each delay protected royal authority. But delay compounded decay. Colonies broke away. Economy collapsed. Eventually, monarchy fell anyway violently. Lesson: postponing reform does not preserve power, it multiplies the cost. Present parallel: institutions ignoring structural decay to maintain appearances. Future warning: how many systems are quietly waiting too long right now? Warning 05. Tsarist secret police repression feeding revolution. The Tsars built an enormous surveillance state. Every protest crushed. Every critic monitored. Fear ruled until fear turned into rage. By 1917, repression had unified enemies that would never have united otherwise. The empire collapsed in weeks. Lesson: surveillance without legitimacy accelerates rebellion. Present parallel: states mistaking control for consent. Future warning: can repression outpace collective anger? Warning 04. Apartheid hardliners choosing isolation over equality. Reform could have come earlier. Hardliners blocked it. They feared losing dominance more than losing the nation. Sanctions strangled the economy. Violence escalated. Eventually, change came, but after immense damage. Lesson: power built on exclusion guarantees isolation. Present parallel: societies resisting inclusion for fear of loss. Future warning: what is the cost of delaying justice? Warning 03. Arab Spring crackdowns, survival tactics that destroyed states. Initial protests were manageable. Dialogue was possible. Regimes chose force. Crackdowns radicalized movements. Civil wars followed. Some leaders survived, but their countries didn't. Lesson: saving a seat is not saving a state. Present parallel: heavy-handed responses to social movements. Future warning: is leadership about survival or stewardship? Warning 02. Corporate leaders killing innovation, power, fear in boardrooms. Disruption threatens executives. Innovators get sidelined. Ideas buried. Short-term control wins. Until competitors adapt faster. Once dominant companies vanish. Lesson: power fear exists beyond politics. Present parallel: firms prioritizing hierarchy over evolution. Future warning: how many giants are already dead just unaware? Warning 01. Digital authoritarianism, total control, total fragility. Modern states can censor everything. Algorithms suppress dissent. Surveillance predicts behavior. But systems that cannot hear criticism cannot correct mistakes. One shock: economic, environmental, technological, and collapse is sudden. Lesson: perfect control creates perfect blindness. Present parallel: digital repression replacing physical force. Future warning: end time question. When truth is fully controlled, how does a system know it is failing? History whispers one message: Power that fears sharing always chooses destruction. Not because it must, but because fear convinces it there is no other way. If you want more history that exposes what power never wants you to see, subscribe. Because the next collapse is never new. It is rehearsed.